Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with a lovely new Grieg disc on Chandos featuring, let's see, who's featuring? Edward Gardner and the Bergen Philharmonic doing a bunch of Grieg things. Yes, let's see, what are the Griegisms here? First, the Symphonic Dances, Opus 64. What a lovely work. And why don't we ever hear it? It makes no sense to me. It's in 4 movements. It's like a symphony. Get it? I mean, they're substantial. All the pieces are in ABA form. Okay, fine. So it's not like, an act of formal wizardry or genius. But, I mean, the tunes are fabulous. The orchestration is pellucidly lovely. And, it ends with a bang. And it should make everybody very happy. And I've never seen it programmed in concert anywhere, not even in Norway. I assume they do it in Norway. I mean, I've seen some Grieg concerts in Norway, so it was a possibility. But boy, there's really more Grieg orchestral music than we give them credit for, and some of it is really pretty. This is a late work from around 1896, 97, somewhere in there, and it deserves to be performed, I dare say. Audiences would love it. I would love it. Maybe I'll stick it in a fabulous concert program somewhere, because gosh darn it, we need to hear it. Then we get Bergliot. I don't know if that's pronounced correctly. Bergliot. Don't even begin to tell me. Bergliot is a lady. She's a woman. She's married to a chieftain. He's at war with King Harold or somebody like that. And they have a fight, and they're going to have a peace treaty, and they work out the peace treaty. And Bergliot is watching the negotiations from her house up on the hill, and there's this commotion, and she runs down and she sees King Harold whipping away and her son and husband killed. And she's upset, very upset, obviously. At first she wants vengeance, then she realizes there's no point, and she tells the men who didn't fight back to load them up in a cart and take them home. And that's the end of it. It's a poem. And the poem is by, it's by Bjornsson, someone like that. And it's a melodrama, too. Oh, melodramas. God, I hate melodramas. Melodramas are when you talk, accompanied by music. The music may interrupt the phrases of the text, or it may accompany the text. And they're really irritating. They were very, very popular in Grieg's day, because really, what was a melodrama but a bit of think of it as a film score. There's dialogue happening and there's music behind it. And when the action gets really intense, the music swells up and then it sort of fades away. And that's all it is, really. So I suppose if you think of it as like a movie scene, it's not as annoying as it often seems. Now, there's an exception to every rule, isn't there? And the exception to this rule is this melodrama, which I actually think is pretty cool. It doesn't outstay its welcome. It's about 18 minutes long, and it has some of Grieg's most colorful and powerful music. I mean, goodness gracious, the funeral march at the end is just marvelous. And frankly, this is a very good performance, but that funeral march could be driven home with a little bit more power. It's got cymbals and a crashing tam-tam, which you could barely hear here. And it just could be more gut-wrenching. There are other very fine performances of Bergliot out there. There's the one on Naxos, and there's the one with Ole Christian Rudd, I believe it is, on Bis, which I think is my favorite one, because it's got like a really hysterical narration and like another acoustic. But I mean, the narrator here, who's the speaker, it's Uni Dar is her name, and she's terrific. She's very, very good, and it's a compelling piece. It helps to follow the text, obviously, unless you want to hear someone screaming at you in Norwegian for 18 minutes. Then we've got Before a Southern Convent, which is a lovely piece for soprano, mezzo-soprano, and ladies' chorus and orchestra. That's about 9 minutes long. It's a poem by the same guy here. It's about some girl who's, wanders around and winds up in a convent. And it all ends happily ever after. You read the poem and you'll decide for yourself, but the music is gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And finally, last but not least, on this 63-minute and 48-second disc, we have the Funeral March in memory of Richard Nordraak. This Funeral March for Richard Nordraak is a really powerful piece. It's a wonderful work. Just 6 minutes and 36 seconds of Sturm und Drang angst. And now they really nail it. I mean, they just pull out all the stops and really pound that sucker home. And so I asked myself, why couldn't they have done the same thing in the Funeral March in Bergliot? But that's a minor quibble. It really is, because the disc is beautifully recorded. It's beautifully played. God knows the Bergen Philharmonic Orchestra knows this stuff. There's a lot of Grieg orchestral music out there and circulating. But if you don't want to get one of the big sets, and if these pieces appeal to you, if you want to have just this stuff, late and somewhat unusual Grieg and some vocal things and whatnot, sure, you can get this and you'll be very, very happy. It's a lovely disc. Plain and simple. And the symphonic dances are just terrific. They really are. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks so much for joining me. Take care.